Meet Gretchen, a person who is blind.
My name's Gretchen Mounty, and I'm from Blue Springs, Missouri, but I've lived in Columbia now for like 15 years. And I went blind when I was 24, and it was uh, quite, it was very difficult, but have certainly adapted since then. And I learn to use all sorts of technology to be able to continue living my life as I want to and being an active person. This is Keeper. He's my guide dog, and we've worked together for like uh, over 8.5 years now, and he's wonderful. He's a golden retriever, as you can probably tell.
What role does AT play in your life?
Technology helped me be able to go back to school after losing my sight, and I was able to finish my bachelor's in English and go on and get a master's in public affairs from the University of Missouri.
What are barriers you have experienced on a website?
Trying to sign up to volunteer um, for something, and you don't see these that often anymore, but there was a CAPTCHA, and no CAPTCHA alternative, no audible alternative or anything. Sometimes these days you'll see what is 7 plus 2 and you fill in a number, but there was just a regular CAPTCHA, and I wasn't able to sign up and had to wait to get help on that. Um, Also, I was filling out a form the other day. I was trying to post a job and to hire a new personal assistant, and was working on filling out their form, and a lot of the fields were labeled, and that was working well. But at the top of the list of form fields, it said required fields are in green. And I was like, oh, that's really helpful. So, and not only is that hard for me, but there's a large percentage of folks out there, mostly men, who are red-green colorblind. And so that doesn't work for folks like that either. So it was difficult, and I kept not filling in something the way they needed it. And it would then have errors appear in a different color. But a lot of companies and organizations, it's you need to fill out their online system and complete that, or use their application system. And many of them have accessibility issues here and there. They won't be entirely inaccessible, but I will end up needing to stop what I'm doing and then wait until I can get some sighted assistance. You really have to arrange things and figure out when you can get that help. And it just makes things difficult. It takes time out of your day and out of the other person's day too.
How can web access be improved?
Headings are really helpful. Sometimes I do come across pages where they haven't used any, so that's frustrating as well. But it's also important to not use too many. I love site maps on places because frequently, if I can't find what I'm looking for, I can just, usually at the bottom of the screen, there will be a link for a site map. And I love websites that have that because then I can browse around and be like, okay, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Um, and also, I love, this isn't a thing that always makes things a lot difficult for me, but I certainly like it when websites actually have descriptions for their photos. It just, it makes me have the same access that a sighted person does, and it's just nice to get descriptions and know. So maybe I'm on the Department of Conservation site, for example. Maybe there's a picture of a certain kind of frog, and I'm curious about it because I love learning. And so then there might not be a really long description, but then I know that's what that picture is, and I can ask a friend later, tell me what this frog looks like. And it's awesome. Labeling form fields and making sure that they are complete and they make sense as well. I recently was applying for a job and was sent a fillable PDF application to fill out, and I quickly realized I was going to need some help because even though the form fields were labeled to some extent, the labels were really unclear, and it um, was difficult to figure out what went where. Rather than maybe saying address, put college address or school address, or rather than just put rather than just name, put name of employer one. Um, so things like that can make a big difference. Yeah, labeling those pictures. If you're using graphics to represent something, simply going in and labeling rather than just graphic 1590 or whatever my screen reader says to me, put like Blue Diamond or whatever the brand might be. And that can be really helpful. I pretty much exclusively use a keyboard to use my computer and don't use the mouse. And I know some folks that work on websites or do tech still don't understand that that's how people who use screen readers use computers. Um, and so being able to navigate with a keyboard and making sure that all controls on that site, on that form, whatever you might be doing, can be navigated using. So I use tab, I use the arrow keys, I use to activate a link, I'm going to use enter or return. And so one thing I think some designers can do is go through and take the keyboard challenge, if you will, and just see, is my site, can I do what I need to on the site without using the mouse?
Final thought?
Accessible design matters.
To learn more, watch the other AT user videos in this series. You can see more AT user videos by visiting our YouTube channel, Missouri AT. Thank you, Gretchen, our AT user in this video, and Keeper, her guide dog, www.at.mo.gov.